I'm Duane Hada, and I am the State Director for Arkansas, and the local chapter is Buffalo River, Arkansas CTO. And I want to show you some of the fly tying that I do. I've spent a lot of my life as a fly fisher and as a fly fishing guide, and it's a passion of mine. And I've got a really neat crawdad pattern called the Hada Creek Crawler that I'm going to demonstrate for you. So let's enjoy it. One of the things that I enjoy doing is fly tying, and during this time when we're at home and making the best of it, I create a lot of flies, and this is my creek crawler. It's a crawdad imitation that I use a lot that has been very effective for me, and I'm going to show you the process of tying that. I'm going to secure my thread onto the hook, and I took a lead eye and flattened it slightly, and it's tied in on the top side of the hook shank. That's important because you want your fly to flip over and to ride through the water column like a crawdad does. So we tie it on the back. This works more as a weight, not necessarily as eyes. I'm going to put just a little spot of some Zapagant glue, which is a very strong super glue. That's just going to help secure that on there. All right, so there are the lead eyes. I'm going to advance or take my thread back to the bend of the hook. That's right where the hook shank starts to curve over. It's the bend of the hook. At that point right in there, I am going to place my rubber leg antennas. And this is just a pair of silly legs like this. And I took one strand, usually a fairly dark one. These will be the antenna on the crawdad. I'm going to pinch those, fold them there, and tie them at the bend of the hook. So I have the two antennas sticking out there. And then I will take a little tuft of dubbing. Use just a little bit of orange here and tie it in. Just kind of pull it forward. The next thing I will do is create a pair of eyes. This crawdad needs to see where it's going. So the way I do this, I take just a cheap little hairbrush. It's got the black knobs on the end. I cut one out. I'm going to come in here with a simple little lighter and melt the other end to create occasionally you have some little screw-ups here. I'm going to not let this one burn up so far. That creates a little set of eyes. And I'm going to bend those and place them at the bend of the hook, and then slightly force them forward into a bend, such as that. Okay? Now, the carapace, or the back of the crawfish is Swiss straw. It's a material that raffia, this is how it's sometimes sold. And I'm going to cut about a 3-inch section of it. And this does expand out. And I'm going to tie it forward facing in front of these eyes. And then pull it down underneath, because again, this is the bottom side of the crawdad that you're looking at. Okay. Now I'm going to use some filler, which is just, you can use yarn, or I've got some old chenille here. And I'm going to tie this in, just wrap it in, secure it. And I'm going to wrap a underbody of the crawdad fly. When I get up here in this area, I'm going to actually kind of double wrap a few times with the remaining part and bring that thread around it to hold it on there. And clip that close. There we go. And that kind of builds up your underbody. And one of the reasons for that is so you don't have to use so much dubbing to do the entire body of the crawfish. Okay, at this point I'm going to, most crawdads, everybody thinks of them as being blaze orange and burnt orange colors and that type of thing. I'm going to use some dubbing that's a little more of a natural, kind of a creamy brown coloration. So I'm going to take out some dubbing, and I may even mix a little bit of orange into it. So I just take these two colors, and again, crawdads in different streams, different bodies of water will be different colors. So don't just assume that one color is what you need. You know, look at the crawdads that you have in your local area and try to match those, whether they're olive or golden brown or rusty red, or some are kind of even almost a blackish blue coloration I've seen in places. But you want to, I think it's important to match the color of the crawdads that you find in your local waters. Okay, this technique is called dubbing, and I just spread the dubbing material out and wrap it in between the eyes here a little bit, and then wrap it back fairly tight. Take some more dubbing. The whole secret of dubbing is to stretch it out over the thread and make it into a nice tight, almost like a little noodle wrap. This particular crawdad pattern, I developed it probably 25 years ago. It is an Umpqua signature series pattern known as the Hada Creek Crawler, but it's been a very effective, a lot of the success I've had in catching big smallmouth in streams all across the country, wherever crawdads and smallmouth exist, which is pretty much everywhere in smallmouth country. This has been a very, very effective pattern. And it's developed quite a following of people that use it. Okay, now let's create the claws. One of the big mistakes I see in a lot of this material is a hen saddle. It's the back feathers off of just a good barnyard chicken. And you want to again find some colors that are very close to the colors that are in the body color of your crawfish. And this one's been picked over pretty good, but I've got a fairly good matching set. So pull some of the stem feathers off, and you should have a matching set of feathers that are pretty close and resemble claws. Again, I'll prep this feather by taking the I'm going to tie those in right in behind the eyes on the side of the crawdad. Keep your stem on there so you can kind of pull them into place. There's one on one side. And get them about the same length, although in nature sometimes the crawdads, they'll lose and regrow pinchers, so sometimes the pinchers aren't always exactly the same in size, but I don't get too worried if they're not perfectly exact on that. And trim your little excess there. Let's continue on with the dubbing now. Kind of bulk that up a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with some more rubber legs. I'm going to get 2 strands of rubber leg and clip the little ends there and fold them. So 2 will become 4 when I place them in there, and I put them one on one side like that. And then place another set on the other side. Okay? I like that. And we'll cut those and trim them up later. But that's pretty much the placement of those. At this point, I'm going to take some ultra wire. This is in a ginger color, and I'm going to take about 6 inches of that. Cut a piece way back in the back of the scissors there so I don't dull them. I'm going to tie this piece of ultra wire right into the same junction there where the rubber legs are. And I like to tie it in, leg there, and then fold it and tie it. And that keeps it from coming out. If you fold it and tie it in, there'll be a little, I don't know how well you can see that, but fine little wire there. Okay, I'm going to take more of the dubbing that I mixed. And just kind of blend a couple of colors here. You can use one solid color if you want. I just kind of like that light tannish orange color that seems to be present in a lot of our stream crawdads here. So here's my dubbing, and I'm going to come in and start dubbing the remaining part of the body. I'm going to pull the rubber legs back out of the way and wind that through the body. Okay, we are now ready to take the crawdad and flip it over in the vise. And I'm going to go through some checkpoints here to kind of give you an idea of what we have. We take the carapace of the Swiss straw and kind of spread it out a little bit. Be gentle not to poke a hole in it. And I'm going to actually poke a hole right down here just by putting my thumb pressure and letting the hook eye come through that. And then I grab my thread and just tie it right there like that, okay? Now, we'll take the brass wire or copper wire that we have, and at about the 2/3 spot, I make a couple of wraps right there. And then I pull the rubber legs forward and start wrapping to create the segmentation of the crawdad's body. I should start seeing it come to shape now. About 5 or so, 6 turns maybe, on the exact number. Then bring the rest of the wire up and hook it around, catch your thread right in behind that. I'm going to take the remaining part of this Swiss straw, and this is important here, to fold it, kind of crunch it up, and then catch the thread behind it. It makes a really neat carapace around, or kind of a flapper they call it, around the base of the crawdad tail. I don't know if you can see that well. I'm going to bring my thread right up around here and tie it off on the hook. Okay. It's a very complicated looking fly, but I think once you tie a couple, you'll get the hang of it and be able to simplify it down a little bit. Take the carapace underneath and clip it like that. Now, we come in and grab the rubber legs, and I cut those. And on the other side, I cut those. I'm going to turn this slightly so you can kind of get an idea of what the fly shape is looking like. The little plastic eyes we put in there, kind of run those around so they do actually stick up, kind of push your claws into position. Now, we do a little bit of artwork here on the fly at this point. We come in with a marker, and just a little Sharpie marker, and just draw a little kind of a, nothing real serious, just kind of a little U shape here along the sides. Turn it here slightly so you can see that. And then put just a Y right down through it. How about that? Everybody could do that. You don't have to be a super artist to make one of these. Now just kind of freckle the body a little bit. Kind of give it some, crawdads have a lot of freckling on the body, and then I like to come in here and each one of these wires just kind of enhance the gap between it a little bit with a few marks. Put a few stripes in here like that. And push the plastic eye up just a little bit. And that's pretty much, you'll come in here and glue off your end with some head cement, or I like to use this Zap Gap, it's very good stuff. Kind of get all your rubber legs about the right lengths. The only final thing I like to do is come in with a little prick or a gun cleaning brush and just kind of fuzz him up a little bit. find a fly that's got a little bit of fuzziness to it. Just looks more realistic and more alive in the water. A gun cleaning brush can do a good job on this too. Any kind of a wire or an old toothbrush will work for you on that. Okay, I'm going to pull him out of the vise here. And kind of get an idea of the overall look and silhouette. And very effective fly that comes through the water riding like that. And that is the Hada creek crawler. And go throw that in front of any smallmouth in your local streams, and I think you'll find it to be very effective. I've caught a lot of variety of different species on that too. Everything likes to eat the crawdad. I've caught trout, I've caught a lot of big carp, they love to eat those, catfish. But anyway, the Hada creek crawler, and it swims through the water in a backward swimming fashion. And that's him. Hope you enjoyed that. Get out and go fishing if you get a chance. And while you're inside, practice tying some creek crawler crawfish.